Tom Pelissero said on Rich Eisen, talking about the possibility of a kind of quarterback cap on their own, and that is very similar to the situation in 1994 with the whole quarterback club thing. With the contracts that are happening, and then also the ones that are coming in soon, allegedly with Dak, Tua, Jordan Love, some of those guys. Is there a way where this does head towards a place along the salary cap where it is quarterbacks on their own and then everybody else? Is that something that could happen, or what do you hear?
I'm confused. Are you saying that quarterback deals would be capped?
No, like they would have their own cap.
Yeah, like it would be separate from the salary cap.
Yes.
It'd be like a max contract, okay? This is something that I've kind of chatted about since the new CBA, because the new CBA upped the amount of money. Obviously, money's going up, right, but all that means is a bigger contract for quarterbacks, and then kind of the middle tier is kind of getting eliminated because the rookies are $400,000 cheaper on their min versus the vet min, which is like $800,000. So there has to become a time, this was like years ago I said this, where the quarterbacks are just kind of taken out of the salary cap. They have their own thing. Now, how would that get handled? How would that be? And then are we creating a quarterback club all again like it's 1994 when all the big name quarterbacks kind of had their own agreement? They got their own video game, their own merch, right, their own deals. Like, are we eyeing that down? Is there a chance that that takes place with the percentage of the salary cap that these quarterback contracts are becoming?
I just think quarterbacks have always been in that category where they're on their own, where they're getting the predominant part of the salary cap. Teams have understood it. They're the most important players in the sport. I can make the argument they're the most important players in any sport. And they've always gotten the lion's share of the salary cap, and they always will. It's hard to imagine that you'd branch off and create a separate salary cap for the quarterbacks. But we also are entering a period where there could be a whole lot of change with the NFL pushing and wanting an 18-game regular season schedule with the expansion of international games. So I think there's a lot of things that could come into play, but I haven't heard anything about a quarterback salary cap on their own. Like that would be outside the box to me. Now, I will say this. When the league created the franchise tag, that was done in the early 1990s. And at that time, I was a newspaper reporter for the Denver Broncos, and one of the people behind that idea was Pat Bowlen, and the franchise tag was created solely to keep players like John Elway in Denver, Dan Marino in Miami, and then over time, it evolved into a weapon for teams that all of a sudden they're using that franchise tag on a player like T. Higgins or a cornerback or an edge rusher. And that was never the original intent of the franchise tag. And now there's franchise tags, transition tags, they use on other players. The original idea was to keep a franchise player, a true franchise player, in his city for a long period of time. And it's evolved into a weapon, another weapon, for the owners to use on any player that they don't want to lose. So this also could be introduced into discussions in the next CBA talks if that was something that the PA wanted to address.
I was franchise tagged as a punter for the Indianapolis Colts, and
and that was not supposed to happen. That is against the spirit of what the tag was for.
Second best jersey sales. So you tell me. You tell me the entire thing. But you're right though. And then back in the day, they could do it just forever too. I think Vinatieri got franchise tagged like 3 years straight, and then they put a limit on it in the new CBA. It's like a tax. If the government introduces a tax and they're getting money, they're never going to turn it off. If the NFL introduces a way for the owners to have more power and for you to avoid free agency, they're never going to turn it off. I'm excited to see what the franchise tag is in the future, and I'm excited to see how we divvy up the salary cap and who will be the first quarterback to say, I don't need to break the record. Let's go ahead and build a team. We shall see.